ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to introduce you to Amun Moon Cosme. Amun.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Man, I'm maintaining, man. Happy Monday, bro. Thank you for joining us here on NFC Now.
Oh, thank you for having me, man.
Yo, it's always great talking with you, bro. Last time we spoke, it was off of a difficult defeat, man. It was a first-round defeat at Icon FC. 4. Now you're just coming off of a victory versus Jackson Santa Cruz at UFL, the United Fight League, their very first show, improving you to 5-1 as a professional, man. You had a beautiful knockout, bro. How are you just in total right now, man? A week and a half after the fight.
Man, I'm just blessed, man. I'm trying to maintain the wave because, after, regardless of what it is, like a big fight or a big loss, I tell people, no matter if you win or you lose, you get this massive like spike of adrenaline. And if you win, it takes a while to come down. And then if you lose, it's like a freaking plummet just down. You feel like it's never going to, you're like, oh my God, I'm just falling forever. So I feel great. I've learned a lot about myself and life over the past like year and a half, and the evolution of Moon is definitely allowing me to ride the wave and not force things. And that's kind of like a testament to my last performance. Was like, hey man, like don't force anything. Speaking of Mad Mike, I love Mad Mike, bro. Mad Mike is the man. I fought him, my teammate has fought him, and he was one of my toughest fights ever. Not in the overconfident or cocky way. You got to be confident to step in the cage. But when I hit him in that first like 20 seconds and I wobbled him, I didn't drop him. He wobbled him. I got like a shark in like blood in the water. I was just like, oh man, I want to go knock this guy. Nah, I got him. Yeah, 3 rounds later, I never got him.
he stayed in there. That's a tough son of a gun right there, ain't it?
And he wasn't just in there. He was throwing up subs. He was hitting me with shit. He caught me with a couple knees to the face. Like, it was a fight. Like, I love everything about Mike Wilson because there are a lot of people, like, I was tuning into, like, you and Aguirre.
Yeah, I get it.
I was tuning in and I was just listening to the jiu-jitsu, I'm a jiu-jitsu head. So I was just listening to that and stuff like that. But I just like what Mike does. Like, he fights everybody, anybody. Like, you don't get a lot of that. You got a lot of people doing this, but not a lot of people doing this. So like, I love that, man. He's a great martial artist.
I want to talk to you about a lot of people doing this and not doing this. But before we get to that, man, the last time I spoke to you was following you lost via guillotine. It was a front guillotine, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an arm and guillotine.
It was an arm and guillotine. It was in the first round. You had your whole family out there. It was Jorge Masvidal's show. It was a big show. You were disappointed. To me, that, if I'm not mistaken, that was your first professional loss and really your first loss
in the cage, period.
In the cage. Yeah. I asked you a question. I said, man, like, when's the last time you tasted defeat? And you looked at me, you said, man, I taste defeat every day in the training room. And it's not how you respond to your wins. It's how you respond to your losses. That was an hour and a half after that loss. You talked about that dip down. Tell me about those emotions between that fight and now you getting in the cage 2 Saturdays ago.
Man, I had the realization, like, right after it happened, I accepted it. I accepted that Diego Manzor was the better man that night. And the same way that I styled on a bunch of my opponents when they made one mistake, that motherfucker styled on me. And I was like, yo, I can't even get fucking mad because he made me look like easy work. And do you know what that does to like and I don't mean ego in a bad way, because as a fighter, you have to have an ego. A lot of people,
everybody has an ego, bro. Everybody has an ego, fam.
Right? My ego doesn't come out in the sense of like a shit talker. I'm not a shit, like, now I can talk shit, but I just choose not to in this format in martial arts. Somebody pops off, I'm just like, I believe in the law of energy. Energy can't be created nor destroyed, only transfer from one thing to the next. Sure. So all this popping off that you're doing, you're just giving me energy. You're feeding me. And so I'm not going to give you that back. Like, I'm going to take it and I'll use it. But like, following that loss, I accepted it right away. And you asked the second question. Trust me, I listened to that interview a lot. And my best friend, who's also my head coach, Lathan Lawson, shout out to him. he was like, I was kind of concerned about the loss. Not that you took a loss, but like how are you going to act? Like what was everything going to be like after the loss? And he said, when I watched that interview with Julien Virgin and you asked him, was like, do you ever had a bad day at work? And he was like, yeah, all the time. I was like, I just had a bad day at work. Like, I've had a lot of bad days at work and came out with dubs. And this time I had a bad day at work and I got styled on. So like, it was like, well, what do you do? Do you just quit your job because of one bad day? People have bad days at work all the time. So like, I just remember that. And then Lathan came to me and was like, when you said that and I saw the look in your eyes, I knew we was good. Like, not that you were going to need time for months to not train and this and that. And like, no, he's like, that's it. We right back to the drawing board, because I took that same approach after every win. Every time y'all saw me in the cage, and I'm going to take the other people's word because I don't really like to talk about myself in a not like in a positive way.
I'm with you.
Like,
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, like, hey man, the reason why I'm so good. No. The reason why people like, man, you look great this performance, better than your last performance, because as soon as I was done, if it was a win, we go back to the drawing board and we do what we call as a debrief. Hey, what is every position where you made a mistake, where somebody could have capitalized, where you did this when you should have did that? And we're breaking down me before other people are even breaking down me. So for me, it was like, do the same thing you just did. Like, the formula is what it is. You just didn't have the right outcome. Now, I had a lot of things going on. I'm never that guy like, oh, giving an excuse or a reason for a win. Like, I had stuff going on in my life, and that was the first time that I didn't want to be in the cage when I was in the cage.
Really?
And I had to do it though. I had to be there. I had to be there under all the circumstances that were going on outside of fighting, because me and Lathan talked about it. He's like, man, it's crazy that your life runs parallel with your fight career, because I don't have a 9-to-5 job, but this is all I was doing. So I had other things going on in my life. And you hear people say, oh my God, like, losing feels so bad. I'm a competitor and losing feel bad. But what allowed me to rebound was the next question you asked. He was like, how does it feel? You know, you have all your people out there supporting you. When I left the locker room and went back out there was still 150 people out there. No one ever left.
Which was amazing to me, man. Like, you and David will tell you this too, man. You know how to sell some tickets, bro. Y'all come through strong, man. You know, I noticed that every time I watch you compete, your people is there, your mom is there. And you take time to say hello and show love to everybody. And you said something like you had to be there. I mean, that was a big opportunity. That was Jorge Masvidal's show.
Yeah.
On Fight Pass in Savannah, Georgia. Like that, you had to be there. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't have to be there for the external factors. That's not why I had to be there. I had to be there for internal factors. Like for me as a man, I had to be there when I felt like the circumstances, there were some things outside of my life that I didn't take fully control of. And I let that penetrate my mental. And getting physically ready for a fight is not easy, but it's simple for me. I can get my body in shape. It's being prepared to, I say, I like to be in the middle. Like, people think of balance, you think of two things, right? One thing and a second thing, right? Balance, you have to have three. Because if I put a 10-pound weight on the left side of the floor and a 100-pound weight on the right side of the floor, you wouldn't be able to tell which one's heavier until you go to lift it. So there has to be something in the middle that you're able to balance to gauge each one. And for me, when I'm fighting, I like to be directly in the middle between feeling everything and feeling nothing at all. And depending on what's going on pre-fight, post-fight, during the fight, I can call on what I need from the other side, emotions or lack of emotions. When I'm fighting that other person on the other side of the ring, they're just an empty vessel. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I'm like, I want to detach this person from their body. It sounds violent, but that's what it is.
Indeed.
Like, this guy wants to separate me from my consciousness, like in front of a lot of people.
Literally.
So you have to be willing to do the same thing.
For sure.
So it's like, mentally, I had things that were going on in my head, and I just like, man, I had to be there, and I had to be there for me later on in my life, if that made sense. Like, there was so much other stuff going on that I felt like if I wasn't there, I'd been giving up on myself, on top of it being the biggest opportunity in my career. So it was like,
to that point, because obviously
to that point,
there's more opportunities that came along. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Amun Moon Cosme joining me here on NFC Now, show number 22. Following his first round, was it KO or TKO?
I knocked the guy out twice.
I think it was a KO. I would call it a KO. Did they call it a TKO, brother?
So some said KO, some said TKO. I had people trolling me talking about, oh, he was still in the fight. But I was like, what happened was I knocked him out. The referee tripped on the way to pushing me out the way. So when he hit the ground, his head snapped and I saw his eyes come back. And the referee never pushed me. So this is what I mean about being detached emotionally. Because as soon as I saw his eyes come back, I was like, you got to go out again. And I hit him, and I hit him, and I hit him until the referee pulled it off. And I knocked him out. And when his head snapped, he woke up again. So, like, the referee then pushed me off, and I just walked off because I knew it was over. But, like, they have the perfect pictures and videos and everything. He was knocked out before he hit the ground. But then the big whip, like, woke him back up. And then I knocked him out again with the ground and pound. But they're calling it a TKO. Someone's calling it KO. To me, I don't care. Like, it was over. Like, it is what it is.
You styled
KO
on
or TKO.
You styled on him. You styled on him, bro.
Styled on him.
big victory in UFL, United Fight League.
Yes.
It was their first show. A lot of heavy hitters were there in the crowd, man. Like, before we talk about the fight itself, how did this opportunity come about in the UFL, the United Fight League?
Number one, I got one of the best managers in the game, and Jesse James Wallace.
Say that.
And it kind of stemmed from fighting on the UFC Fight Pass and the Icon. One of the a couple of the staff members that were on the Icon or whatever, I guess they're working with UFL because, all right, so I had the fight in March of last year where I got the armbar victory down in Miami, right? Now, there were two cards. The second card wasn't on UFC Fight Pass, but there were two cards. It was the Icon that I fought on, and then there was another show called Freedom Fights. Okay. I fought on Friday. Freedom Fights had their fights on Saturday. I was originally scheduled to fight on Freedom Fights, but my opponent dropped out 3 weeks before the fight, and they didn't have another guy in the weight class that I could fight. And I was like, well, I'm 3 weeks away. I'm like already like starting to slim down. Like, what's going on? They switched me to Friday to the Icon show because they had another 35er. And it was like, hey, it's short notice. Y'all could just do a catch weight at 40. I said, bet. He's 35, I'm 35. We could just meet at 40. So we did that. I was actually supposed to fight on Freedom Fights. And then the people who run Freedom Fights are Tito Ortiz, Rampage Jackson, Frank Mir. So I saw all of them down there, and I was supposed to fight on that card, but they came and watched the fights in Icon the day before. So they already saw me fight in person for Icon. I had about 4 different offers for fights in February and March and April, like all together. So my manager's like, hey, these are the offers we got, but UFL is offering some crazy stuff. And he told me what it was. And I was like, that sounds too good to be true. Like, let me see this in a contract because I'm a very detail-oriented person. Bro, he sent me the contract. I spent like 3 hours. I'm reading over everything. I'm like, what do you mean I get health insurance? What do you mean I got sponsorship opportunities? What do you mean what? Life insurance? Like, I'm like scratching my head like, this is too good to be true. And I was just like, what really sold me besides the health insurance? That was the big kicker. But what sold me, I was like, hold on, it's a tournament. I was like, they're going to put the best 135ers in the tournament, and then we're going to fight it out. I was like, I love it. Like, you know me, when I was in the NFC, I'm like, yo, I want to see people that's going to challenge me. I never was like looking for an easy dub and pattern. No, I'm like, look, I'm looking for some smoke. How many fights got canceled where I was supposed to be fighting big name guys, like guys that could fight? And it just didn't happen based off the circumstances. But I'm just like, I never was like shying away from anything. So when I heard it was a tournament, I'm like, hold on. And these are all 135ers, and they got backups, and they got this, and they got that. I was like, yo, say less. I'm covered. Insurance. Who's the best? First pro title. Like, let's go.
Where'd the fights take place?
Arizona.
So you flew out all the way to Arizona. How long would you spend in Arizona?
They flew us out on Wednesday, so our body can kind of get used to the time difference and everything like that. Wednesday to Sunday, so I flew out Wednesday morning. So I got in Arizona Wednesday morning as well because it's a 2-hour difference. So we flew out like 7 a.m. It's a 4-hour flight. Landed in Arizona like 9 or 9:30 a.m. and then our hotel was like 10 minutes from the airport. So we was there Wednesday, Thursday. Weighed in Friday morning, and then fought Saturday. But like it was the most professional. I felt like I was fighting for the UFC, not just the lights, the professionalism. We had 8:30 a.m. or 9 a.m. weigh-ins, which means we can get fully hydrated and everything before the next day. We're not doing 7 p.m. weigh-ins. The weigh-ins everybody saw was the ceremonial weigh-ins, but we weighed in that morning the same way they do in UFC. Like we had an itinerary, so when we landed, we knew who was picking us up, like contact. I was just like, you mean I could just go to another state, cut weight, and fight?
It was like they laid it out. You were a VIP. You were a very important person fighting on the card.
Yes.
How'd that make you feel as a professional? You know, you're 5-1 now, man, but you've dealt with other amateur ranks. How'd that make you feel? Just being able to just walk in there and like actually get that type of VIP treatment.
Man, the biggest growth that I had from last year to this year is being present. Because my brain is like, your brain, you can't cut your brain off. And like what makes me a good fighter is the fact that I when I can't cut my brain off, I use it to my advantage. But the same thing that can like help you can also hurt you. So last year, it was hurting me in a lot of ways. I was comparing myself to people. I was training too hard where I was injuring myself all the time. I wasn't getting good sleep. My mental health wasn't where it needed to be. And it was kind of being my own demon. I was like fighting my own demons, and I was just looking in the mirror. I just didn't like what I saw. It was crazy, this massive parallel. And this happened before the loss. This is the crazy part about it. Like I had this crazy shift in things that were going on in my life, and it was like, fuck. So when I was there, you know, me and Lathan did a lot of work together, and he's not just my head coach, but he's my best friend. He's my main training partner. So he knows me. He knows me. Like me, not like just me that's out there fighting. He knows what makes me tick in real life and this and that and the third. And we just really practice being present, like right here. The past is gone. The future's not here. Being present. And every day we was in Arizona, I made it my job. And he kept reminding me, hey, just take this shit in. Fuck the fight. The fight's where it's Wednesday. Fight's not till Saturday. Like, yo, just take this in. So every morning I went on a morning walk. I just walked around. I just enjoyed the scenery. I enjoyed the people. I just talked to random people. I just was like, enjoy the moment. Be right here, right now. Because when you're fighting, if you're thinking about the past, you're going to get messed up. If you're thinking about the future, you're going to get messed up. And that was the biggest thing I took away from my L. And it took that loss. And for me to read, I'm reading this book right now, and it put everything into perspective. And winning is the only goal, not the only goal, but everybody wants to win, right? So it's a very easy thing to say. I don't care who's playing cards, we were playing football, whatever. People want to win. Winning is the only goal that doesn't require winning to be the focus. So, for instance, if you want to win a football game, you got to score a lot of touchdowns, right?
Right.
So touchdowns should be what you focus on, right?
Right.
Wrong. The football field is 100 yards.
If
you make your focus to gain positive yards every play, you'll run out of field. You're going to score a touchdown.
Facts.
But if you think I got to go score a touchdown, there's a lot of mistakes across that 100-yard field. So literally, I had people like going, like texting me, man, I know your goal is to go out there to Arizona and get a win. And I would text them back, and I'm like, My goal is to go out to Arizona and do my job and represent my family and friends that support me.
Straight up.
Never said one time I want to go out to get a W. People like, yo, you ready to go get that dub? I'm like, I'm ready to go do my job. And if I do my job, winning will be a result of doing my job. We had a game plan. I got one of the goats. So I got a stable of goats, but one of the goats as my coach, and Cole Miller. We did our film study day to put the game plan together for this guy. And we were supposed to meet at like 1 p.m. This was like 4 or 5 weeks before the fight. We were supposed to meet at 1 p.m. He got there a little early. We walk in at 1. And he's already got the whole game plan. Like, we go with all the coaches there so we all could see and break stuff down, see what I see what they see. And then we go in, and he's already got the whole game plan. He's like, oh, hey, this is what you're strong at. This is where he's weak at. This is where he's strong at. This is where you're weak at. This beats this. This beats this. This beats this. So what do you think your game plan will be? I said, well, like this, that. And the third, he said, cool. What are you going to do when you strike? This, that. He said, all right, cool. Let's watch film. He literally gave me the key. I just went and unlocked the door.
Indeed. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Amun Moon Cosme joining me here on NFC Now, show number 22, following his first round, we'll say KO, double KO of let me make sure I get my man's name right. I got it written down. Jackson Santa Cruz at UFL, show number 1 in Arizona. My dad's watching right now. He said, gotta get out of bed winning. And as you said, today's a great day to be alive. It's even a better day
to be great. It's a good day to be alive. Better day to be great. There we go.
Indeed. So after the double knockout, you getting your hand raised. You got Frank Mir interviewing you, man. You were able to be present in that moment after getting the dub, man. How did that feel?
It felt good. I spoke to TJ Holt the other day, Roster Cartel.
He's in the queue right now. He hear you.
Oh shit!
He's in the queue. He's coming on next.
All right. So, remember I said I like to be right in the middle of feeling everything and feeling nothing. When I'm in that fight, I don't want to feel any emotion until I need to. But after that fight, I was really emotional because that loss that I took in the ring was the least bad thing that's happened to me in the last year and a half. Literally, like, fuck that loss. Like, it didn't affect me because I had so much other stuff going on. And in this training camp, 3 weeks before that fight, I buried my grandmother on a Saturday, and I buried someone who's like a brother to me on a Sunday. And that dude was going to have to kill me to take me out of there, because that's why I just said I wanted to go in there and represent my family. Like, I got lasting memories of my grandmother being one of the strongest people I've known. She's native of Puerto Rico, right? She was in her 80s, never had a license, right? You know, I don't know why Puerto Ricans go to New York, but that's what they do. So my whole family's from New York. But I have a imprint of my head of like my grandmother being one of the strongest like people in my family. And I'm just grateful for her, because without her, like, I wouldn't be here. My mom wouldn't be here. Like, no one, you know, no one in my very big family would be here if it wasn't for her. And my aunt and my mom, you know, her 2 daughters, like, were with her when she passed. And I got a family full of women, man. Like, I got a family full of women, bunch of nieces, aunts and stuff. I think it's like 1 boy for every 6 women in my family. It's ridiculous, bro. And I feel like I have to be the mountain when there's like a hurricane going on. And I'm not make this a woman man thing, but like, you know, the women in my family are very emotional creatures. And it's not that I can't show emotion, but I need to remain firm and stern when there's chaos, when chaos ensues. And there have been many times where, you know, chaos ensues in my family, and me being the only man left in my family. Like, my dad's dead. All my uncles are dead. I am the last one that holds my name. So for me, that walk to the cage is much more than just, I'm trying to go out there and get a win. I feel the pain and joy of my family and all the shit that we've been through and all the things that we've overcame. That's what I feel when I go in the cage. And that's why I just detach myself from all emotions. And this person's an empty vessel. And I will do what I got to do to get them out of there. And if they're better than me that night, they're gonna have to kill me, or style on me, But but you know that fight after Frank Mir, they told me, oh man, you got sponsored by F3 Energy, and you're moving on to the next bracket. All I could think about was just give me a second to get the mic so I can let my mom know who's watching. I walked out to Suavemente because my grandma liked to dance. And in the early 2000s, they used to do Raise the Roof. Yeah. And my grandma with her Puerto Rican accent was like, raise the roof, raise the roof. So I'm coming out just just in the spirit of my family. I really felt just connected to everything, but detached from everything at the same moment. And that's how I felt.
Thank you so much for just that level of vulnerability and that level of realness, man, you shared with just not only me, but the entire NFC community here, man. Because I think a lot of times, we forget that fighters are men, women, fathers, daughters, children, sons. You said you said your dad passed away, man. There's a lot of different things that go into the people that we watch be gladiators in the cage, man. It takes a lot for y'all to just go ahead and make that walk, man. That's what makes that victory even so much sweeter, man. So I'm really happy that you were able to experience that feeling. And I will say this, every week on this pod, man, we do this every Monday at 7 p.m. I get on here and I always say we need more characters. And you're a character in yourself, man, just by the way in which you present yourself. You're always you're the most professional person that I've come across. You're the most professional fighter that I've come across in this community. There's a lot of great fighters and everybody has their different strengths or weaknesses, but just the way in which that you carry yourself inside, outside the cage, on social, the way that you represent not only your family, but your sponsors, your teammates, it comes across so clear, man. And you're in the lane of your own. And so I'm not surprised that you're getting opportunities to fight on cards like Icon, fight on cards like the UFL, and be able to have different sponsors and everything. So I say all that to say, man, what's coming up next? What kind of conversations are you having not only with the UFL but with your manager about what's next for Amun Moon Cosme?
Like I said, over the past year and a half, I've really been doing my best on to be present, to not look so far in the future where I'll miss those steps, I'll bypass some details. And not so much focus on the past because it's gone. I think of the past as it's a good place to reflect, but maybe not the best place to visit, because I visited the past sometimes, and sometimes it's hard to get out. All right. Sure. But what's next for me is I entered a tournament. So ain't nothing on the schedule until I bang, fisticuffs with the rest of the 35ers in this tournament. And I got a first round knockout, TKO, whatever you want to call it, and I'll be fighting a guy. I got to remember how to say his name because he's from Armenia. He got a third round knockout. He was losing his fight, came out in the third round and started putting the pressure on this dude, knocked him out twice too. Caught him once, clipped, the dude hit the ground, popped right back up, caught him again. Dropped him. So me and him, we faced off, we locked eyes, we dapped up, kind of had that mutual respect for we know what's about to happen. And that's what's officially what's next. I already talked to my manager, after this fight, then we can talk about the next fight, because the winner is going to have opportunity to be the first 135 champ. And I'm like, the amateur titles is all right, but I want that pro strap, man.
For sure.
I want that pro strap.
You deserve it, man. You've been putting in the work. I mean, Amun, you're 30, 31?
31.
31. You're in your athletic prime right now, man. This is the time for you to really go after it, man. And I know this is NFC Now. However, we are rooting for you in full, because you not only represent us and their local community and your community in Macon, man. The better you do, the better we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You want to hear some dirt?
Come on, talk to me.
So I'm a representation of Georgia fighters, man.
Say that.
I'm a representation of Georgia fighters. Okay. I post a lot on my anytime I post stuff, when me and my team are going to fights, I'll say middle GA MMA. You see me putting 478 on the map because I was raised in Milledgeville and Macon and Warner Robins, so it's 478. But when we go to another state, we represent Georgia. All right, and there were low key some dudes in Arizona talking shit about Georgia fighters.
Okay.
And my coach almost got into it with some people at a gym, and I was like, hey man, we gotta fight this weekend. He's like, nah, they're talking about they come to Georgia, pad their records. They must be not fighting nobody. Like, yeah, it was getting lit. But like, we were like saving all that energy, like for the fights on Saturday. They were like, oh, Arizona's the fight state. We was like, what? Arizona's the fight state? Really? Like, yeah, you got Fight Ready and Jackson, we all all this stuff around there. But like, I was just like, they kind of was throwing shade at Georgia fighters, and I was just like, all right. Like I needed another chip on my shoulder. I was like, all right, well.
I love that you put it like that. That like you are representing Georgia MMA. You are. Yeah. I mean, you really are, because when you go to these other out of town promotions and everything, you are representing where you're from. That's what the announcer is going to say. They're going to say where you're from, and that represents where you came from. Now to that point, and I got my man TJ Rasta Cartel in the queue. One thing that I've been very critical of, and again, I'm not a fighter, so there's only a level of criticism that I could truly give, is about some of these guys in Georgia that are not fighting, that are not taking these tough fights, that are picking fights, or don't want to train with somebody because everybody's buddy, or I had a slice of pizza with this guy, and like, oh, I'm bros with him, blah, 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 blah. I've been seeing that a lot. Your thoughts on us training together, or at least fighting against each other, so that when we go to these other states, we're the best version possible?
Look, man, that was part of the reason why I stopped coming like a long time ago when I was an amateur to the open sparring at X3, because I had all these other guys in my weight class like I was sparring with, because I'm like, hey, there's not a lot of 135 body types around. Where I'm from, there was like 2 or 3. Chase Boutwell, who is my main training partner, went down to Coconut Creek, ATT Coconut Creek. So he moved down to Florida, and I'm like, well, I don't really have other 135ers. I got to train with 70s and 55ers, like, and this is not their weight. That's what they cut down to. So like, I'm walking around at 55. These guys are walking around at 75, 85, 205. And I'm all for the smoke and everything, but eventually you got to need a look of like people your size. So I was coming out to the X3 open sparring, and then it was just weird because like when I was trying to get fights, I wanted to fight the best guys. I, as much character as I have, I am very petty. I go online, I hit Tapology up. I'm like, oh, these are the top 20 135ers, and I'm not even in the list. I gotta fight these guys on the way to the top. So when I saw these guys in the gym, I'm just thinking like, it was open sparring, it's training. This is not what you're doing in a fight. So like, you don't really know me. I really don't know you. So like, we're in there getting sparring rounds. And if you don't want to spar with me, there are literally 30 other people on the mat you can go spar with. But it started to get weird. It was like people just kind of watching me. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. I'm about to fight this guy's teammate, and this dude's over here just
taking notes and everything.
Yeah, but I'm just like, it was kind of weird because then like I'm not gonna mention nobody's name because like I'm professional, like
out of respect.
I'm like, I was getting offers from the NFC for the people that I wanted to fight, the top 10, top 5, top 20, and my first answer, yes. Then it was like, all right, they declined. I was like, all right, whatever. I'll get another fight. I fought Andrew Geigerich. Then they offered me more top fighters. I'm like, yes. They're like, they declined. I'm like, well, who's left? Okay. Then I fought Damian Whitehead. No disrespect to Damian. Damian's a good martial artist and stuff.
You subbed him in one round. I saw that on Tapology.
Yeah, but it was a level gap in my jiu-jitsu versus his jiu-jitsu. And my coaches always have been imprinted in my head. Like, we know you can go to war, Moon, but like you lose troops in war. So why even give this person the opportunity to take troops away from you? And your troops are your brain, number one, your knees, your elbows, your fists. You want to lose these things in your amateur career, or you want to save these for when you go pro and meet another person like you who's going to be willing to die in there? And it was like, if you can take this guy down and sub him, just take him down and sub him.
Yeah.
Taking that. Yeah. He literally, the words out my coach's mouth before I walked out to the Damian fight, we're about to go out. He's like, hey, we don't get paid by the hour. Make it quick. And I was like, oh shit. All right. Like,
was that like a 25-second joint? Like,
yeah, it was like 27 seconds or 26 seconds, something like that. But like, to just bring everything around to where you were saying, like, it didn't bother me that people were declining to fight me. But I realized these guys aren't fighting each other either. But in this NFC community, there was so much of this going on. So I'm just like, you know me, I don't play Twitter fingers, but I'm petty. So I'll watch and I'm entertained. I'm like, these motherfuckers talking shit all day long, and ain't none of them fighting each other. And then I'm like, well, shit, I'll fight them. And then I get the offer, and they decline. I get the offer, and they decline. But then I see these same people online talking about I'm the best. I'm like,
and this is I'm on this pod every Monday, and I'm always saying, look, just because you got to slice a pizza with somebody doesn't mean you can't compete with them. Because, like our next guest, TJ Rasta Cartel Holt said, and I never forget, I just randomly ran up on him at a gas station, and he was telling me, I was like, "What's next for you?" He told me what was next for him. I was like, "Wow, that's actually a really great fight." And he said, "Look, I want to compete against this guy as an amateur because when we both grow pro, I want him to be the best pro possible so he could represent Georgia MMA." And that made the most sense to me. I was like, I respect that. I respected it. And like, I'm seeing so many. I'm a fan, Amun. I'm a fan. I'm an announcer, but I'm a fan of these. I don't care if you win or lose. If you make the walk, I have respect for you because a brother like me, I'm not making the walk into the cage. What can I say if you lose? Oh, he got beat up. I mean, I wasn't the one fighting. Yeah. At the end of the day, I want to see these matchups. And I'm like, okay, that's a body type. That's a body type. But now everybody's training at one specific gym. Oh, I train with him. I can't fight him or this or that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, damn.
I think it's a little bit of the new age era we live in. Like I said, I'm on a cusp because I was born in the 90s and then early 2000s. But like this new era, everybody thinks this is what gets you to the top. And it's like, you got to be a good fighter first, right?
You got to put in that work.
If you talk your shit, you got to be able to back it up second. And so it's like everybody's doing this because it brings attention. And this is where I separated myself from the pack. Is I said, I will never sell out to myself, meaning I won't act out of character for any dollar amount. Okay. And I said, that doesn't mean I won't shit talk because I will shit talk, but I'm not going to be talking about nobody's mom, no religion, all this crazy shit where I'm like, if you said that,
you're not going to get out of character. You're not going to break character.
Exactly. What I said is exactly what you just said on the last thing. If these jiu-jitsu guys start talking crap, people want to see something happen, right? So it's like the people who are coming to watch this fight are not supporting you. They're coming to either watch you knock somebody out or you get knocked the fuck out. So I thought of the opposite. I said, why do I want people to want to watch me get knocked out? Maybe that's just cool. But how about the people that want to see me succeed? Why don't I build a relationship and a connection with them? And then now I'll have supporters. So then when I took my first L and there was 150 people out there. And they all went out to eat with me afterwards. And I didn't
interview the guy that beat you. I interviewed you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I want to talk to you. Because we're invested. I mean, this is like again, characters. I'm invested into Amun.
If these guys fight these tough ass fights as amateurs, then you'll have a better grade of professionals. Exactly what TJ said. Like, as an amateur, I remember when I was fighting for Valor, I went up to Tim Loy and I was like, hey, I won my fight. I was like, hey, who's the toughest guy you got at 135? He said, oh, we got this guy. He fought Chase Boutwell. He's 4-2. I said, can I fight him? He said, please. Yeah. That guy got injured, so he couldn't fight. He was like, we got this guy on the come up. He's 4-1. He just got he was 3-1, but one was a DQ because he I guess it was like one of those iffy strikes where it's like, was the guy
12-6 or like a
or was the guy up, was he dead, like whatever the thing was. But that was like his first fight, and he had like a 4-fight win streak, and he looked like a tank. He was just running through people. But I saw him fight, and I'm like, this guy's really pulling the intimidation card. That shit ain't gonna work on me, right? Because I'm not gonna back up. I'm gonna meet force with force because that's how you fight someone who is really aggressive off the bat. You don't just back up. So I met force with force, and he was pretty much cooked after the first round. Adrenaline dump. He was done.
Easy
but
work.
Also, Yeah, but it was like, hey, man, I want these tough fights. Do it as an amateur. If you're a good striker, you need to go fight the wrestlers. Like, go fight the wrestlers. If you're a good wrestler, go fight the strikers. Then go fight some other good wrestlers. See how good your wrestling is. So when you become a pro, you're representing Georgia. Like, to me, it is one of the. I have a thing in my gratitude journal every morning. It's 11 traits of the best of the best. All right. The best know what they truly want. The best want it more. The best do ordinary things better than everyone else. The best zoom focus. The best overcome their fears. The best leave a legacy. The best it's like 3 or 4 more, but I used to know it by heart. But I have it.
I'm following you.
And I'll read it. But the best call on the power higher, greater than themselves.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes when shit is hard, you might not be able to do it for you, but you can do it for your family. You can do it for the hood you represent. You can do it for the people that support you. You can do it for the future you. If the you now can't do it for the future you that's going to be thanking what you're going through right now. And it's like, be a good representation. You can talk your shit, but be a good representation of Georgia MMA. You want these other states clowning us, talking about they coming to Georgia
because you ain't fighting nobody as an Ammy. Because you ain't fighting nobody as an Ammy.
Thank you.
Again, I'm just the announcer guy. I'm just the announcer guy, bro. I'm just calling it what I'm seeing. Ladies and gentlemen, Amun Moon Cosme joining me here on NFC Now, show number 22. Amun, before we part ways, man, I want your final thoughts. What do you want to leave me and the entire NFC community with?
2 things. As an amateur, leaving my amateur career onto my pro career, I started my business, Lunar Unlimited. And for me, martial arts is nothing if you don't give it away. Like, that's how it evolves, and martial arts is forever. Think about that. Like, everything that we're learning today is things that were used thousands of years back. Hand-to-hand combat. This is how wars were fought. This is how land was conquered. This is how a man pushed himself to the edge and woman pushed themselves to the edge. This is how we evolved as a nation, as people, right? And if what you receive, you hold on to your grave, you are worse off after you got it than when you had it before.
Say that.
And through my business, Lunar Unlimited, it's not a big business. It's a small business. But I said, why wait till I get bigger before I can give back? So I'm taking 5 people. I'm not just limiting it to athletes, but 5 people. And I'm giving out paid sponsorships. I'm not doing this barter thing. I know what it's like to be a professional fighter. And even if it's $100, it's better than no dollars at all, right? So I'm offering paid sponsorships to athletes and win bonuses, media exposure, gear, all these kind of things that fighters need. Right now I have 3 athletes who are fighters, and then I have 1 or 2 who are influencers, but I only pick people based off their character. Like, I'm not picking people based off of the wins and loss columns. I'm picking people based off their character. And with that being said, I would like to announce TJ Holt is going to be one of those guys. I talked to him the other day, and I talked to him the other day, and he's genuinely himself. That's what I love. That's what I love.
I love it.
He's genuinely him. I don't get. Look, my family was born in the hood in fucking New York. Then we moved to the hood in New York, and then we moved to the hood in Georgia, right? And like, that's where I grow up. I'm not a fucking ashamed of that. Now, you always are looking to better your environment. So anytime I see somebody with the mindset of where you were is not where you're going to stay, and continuing to grind to get better and better, and don't just do it for you, but do it for other people, I love that. And just talking with him, I was like, man, what can I do to give back? And I'm like, well, shit, there's a couple things I know how to do. I know how to market myself. I know how to build a business because I'm a businessman. I've built businesses before. I know how to take something from an infant stage to an adolescent stage. So let me do this for other people. I helped Walla. He asked me about my ticket sale and this, that, and the third. And he was one of the only people who, you know how many people ask me how you sell so many tickets, but nobody ever reached out after I gave them a little information. Like, no one else said anything. Walla asked me, he's like, hey, man, how do you do, some of the things? I was like, you really want to know? I was like, yeah. All right, come down. Let's get some training in, and then I'll give you a full breakdown. I'm going to give this shit to you. I'm not charging. I'm giving this shit to you. I was like, hey, I got a spreadsheet. I do this, track your tickets, do this. Hey, go on, whatchamacallit, make your flyers, make your this, blah, blah. You are promoting yourself, blah, blah, blah.
I'm still here, bro. I'm still here.
Yeah. And basically, he got all that shit done in like a week. He hit me up like 3 weeks later, was like, bro, that's the most tickets I sold, and I still got 3 weeks before the fight. And I was just like, I appreciate giving something away and somebody actually using it. That's what I do as a martial arts instructor. So like when I see certain people going out there grinding to be better and helping other people out along the way, that's the kind of people I want to give to. So I know I talk a lot. My bad. TJ Holtz on that roster. And then just my final parting words is everything I say all the time. It's a good day to be alive, but an even better day to be great. So get up and get to the grind, whatever that is for you. Right. If you woke up today, it's a good day, because you could be hurting, you could be in a bad situation, but you got breath in your lungs, so you can do something about it. Not everybody's as fortunate. And I know, because I just lost my grandmother for old age, and I lost somebody who was like a brother to gun violence. So like death has no favorites, right? It could be your day today, tomorrow. Les Brown says, here today, gone today, because tomorrow never comes. So you need to live each day like it could be your last, because it could. And with my business, Lunar Unlimited, that's what I want to do. I want to inspire people to push their limits. I remember doctors telling me I wasn't going to walk straight, and now I'm a professional athlete and a full-time martial artist helping people every day. So
say that. And to both of those things, man. First of all, I don't think you could have picked two other better men to get behind, man. And Walla and TJ. Those are two, along with you, man, some of my favorite people that I love to cover here in this industry, man, because we've been around for just a couple of years, man, but just there's certain people that stand out amongst the cream always rises to the top. There's certain people where it's like, no, I want to get behind that person. So as I always say, support a hustler, man. I love that you're supporting those hustlers out there that are really doing it, not only just for them, but for their people. And two, Amun, you're one of the best fighters and the best men in that are representing Georgia MMA. So, and I don't just say this for myself, but the entire NFC community, man. We just wish you the best. We're all behind you, man. Go out there and get that UFL belt, and then just take it to the next level, bro. Because every time that you go out there and lay it on the line, we got you. We're right behind you, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, Amun Moon Cosme joining us here on NFC Now. Thank you for your time, brother.
I'll see y'all on the 10th. I'm coming to the fights.
I can't wait, bro. We'll see you there. Peace.